The first time her fingers touched my hair, I forgot how to breathe. Not because of romance, not yet, but because somehow that touch carried something I hadn't felt in years. Warmth. The kind that seeps past your skin, finds the parts of you you've kept hidden, and whispers softly, "You're still here." Before we dive deeper, if this story touches your heart even a little, please take a second to like, comment, and subscribe to Whispers of Kindness. Your support helps us share more stories that heal, inspire, and remind us all that love still matters. It was raining that morning in November, the kind of rain that doesn't roar but weeps. I was sitting inside the old corner cafe, pretending to read a book I'd read 5 times before. I wasn't reading, I was hiding. Hiding from the silence that had followed me since my wife Lena passed away a year ago. Grief is strange. It doesn't always scream. Sometimes it just sits beside you, silent and polite, waiting for you to break first. That was when she walked in, Elena. She shook off her umbrella, droplets scattering light in 100 directions, and smiled at the barista like she'd known her forever. That smile, it wasn't loud or demanding attention. It was soft, tired, like someone who'd survived storms but still chose to look at the world with kindness. She sat 2 tables away, ordered black coffee, and opened her sketchbook. Her hands moved quickly, drawing something only she could see. I tried not to stare, but then she looked up, caught me, and instead of turning away, she smiled. "Do you always stare at strangers like that?" she asked with a teasing calm. "Only the ones who draw in cafes," I replied, awkwardly smiling back. We talked, casual things like weather and art, until somehow conversation spilled into heavier truths. She told me she used to be a painter but hadn't touched color since her fiancé, Noah, died in a car crash 2 years ago. "I tried painting him once after that," she said, her eyes lowering to the cup in her hands, but the colors all looked wrong, like the world forgot how to be warm. Something inside me cracked open. We were both broken people trying to pretend we weren't. Days turned into weeks. We kept meeting there, same time, same table. I'd bring my notebook, she'd bring her sketchbook. We didn't plan it, it just happened. Slowly, our silences started to feel less heavy. There was one morning, the cafe unusually quiet, when she said, "You never talk about her." I froze. She didn't mean to hurt me. She said it softly, gently, like someone brushing dust off an old photograph. "She loved sunflowers," I said finally. "Said they always looked like they were listening to the light." Elena smiled faintly. "Sounds like her heart still shines somewhere in you." I didn't reply, but when she reached across the table and rested her hand on mine, I felt something shift. A warmth I'd buried under layers of guilt, fear, and loneliness began to move again. Months passed, and the cafe became our second home. We laughed, sometimes cried, but mostly just were. And for the first time since Lena's death, I felt like breathing again didn't hurt so much. Then came that afternoon, the one that would change everything. We were sitting in the park, autumn leaves swirling around like quiet confetti. I was sitting on the bench, and she stood behind me, playfully combing her fingers through my hair, trying to fix it after the wind had its fun. Her hands were in my hair, and suddenly, I wasn't breathing right. It wasn't the shock of her touch, it was what it meant. For a year, every touch had belonged to a ghost. Every heartbeat was haunted by memories I refused to release. But in that instant, with her fingers brushing lightly against me, I realized something terrifying and beautiful. My heart was beating for someone new. "Elena," I whispered, not even sure what I was going to say. She froze, sensing the shift. Then she came around and knelt in front of me, her eyes meeting mine. "You don't have to say it," she murmured. "I know." Tears burned my eyes. "I feel like I'm betraying her." "No," she said softly. "You're keeping her alive by allowing yourself to live again." Her words hit me like sunlight after too many cold mornings. I wanted to believe her, but grief doesn't vanish, it transforms. And that transformation hurts. For weeks after, I kept my distance. I told her I needed space. She didn't fight it. She just said, "I'll be here when you're ready." That's the thing about real love. It doesn't chase, it waits. During those weeks, I found myself revisiting the old places Lena and I used to go. The pier, the bookstore, the little garden by the hospital. But this time, I didn't cry. I talked to her instead. I told her about Elena, about how she smiles like dawn and how she's helping me remember life again. And maybe, just maybe, Lena heard me. Because that night, I dreamt of her, standing in a field of sunflowers, smiling, whispering, "It's okay." When I woke up, I knew what I had to do. I went back to the cafe. She was there, as always, sketching something in her notebook. When she saw me, she froze, then smiled softly. "Hey, stranger," she said. "I don't want to be a stranger anymore," I replied. I told her everything, how scared I was, how guilty I'd felt, and how somehow her kindness had helped me start breathing again. She didn't interrupt. She just stood, walked over, and before I could finish my sentence, she placed her hands in my hair again, like that day in the park, and said, "Then breathe. Just breathe." So I did. For the first time in years, I breathed without pain. Weeks became months. Seasons changed. We began painting together. She taught me color again, and I taught her words. Together, we built something gentle and real, not to replace the people we'd lost, but to honor them by continuing to love. And maybe that's the secret life never tells you. Love doesn't end when someone leaves. It changes form, waiting for the right hands to remind you how to live again. If this story moved your heart even a little, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Whispers of Kindness. Every interaction helps us bring more stories of healing, hope, and humanity to life.